What's going on, everybody? J-How here, and in this Diablo 3 guide, we're going to cover the Witch Doctor and the new Zombie Bear build that is beasting down greater rifts. I'm going to cover the skills, the gear, and everything you need to know for this build, including Kanaya's Cube, to get you into patch 2.3 and into those high greater rifts. For the skills, you're going to be running with Piranhas with Piranado, Zombie Charger with Zombie Bears, Corpse Spiders with Blazing Spiders, Wall of Death with Firewall, Spirit Walk with Jaunt, Soul Harvest with Languish, and then for your passives, you'll be running Graven Justice, Gruesome Feast, Spirit Vessel, and Confidence Ritual. So for Piranhas and Piranado, this is really good because not only does the new Helltooth bonus give this a decent amount of damage, it also helps to position stuff when you need to attack it. It helps throw stuff in the general area right in front of you, and then it allows you to beast them down with Zombie Charger, which is our next skill and your main damage dealer. This says it summons zombie bears that stampede towards the enemies. This is really good because it hits enemies in the area. So this plays out really well because you don't have to focus target one. You can target an area and do a ton of damage. On your gear, it's also going to be good to roll area damage in some form or fashion to really emphasize how strong zombie bears are with the new Helltooth set. Then you've got Corpse Spiders with Blazing Spiders. This is good because it throws out those spiders, and then when they're out there, they return mana to you per hit. This is really nice because you are going to need mana in there. So having these out there, hitting those enemies, will help you cast more zombie bears without going out of mana. Wall of Death with Firewall. This is really nice. This stays up for 8 seconds. This, again, plays very well into the Helltooth bonus, so that you're proccing everything between your Piranhas, Zombie Chargers, Corpse Spiders, and your Wall of Death. You're now doing maximum damage. With the new Jerem Bracers, you can cast out 3 of these. This does a lot of damage, plus it stays up in a nice area and takes up a lot of good room to do max damage when you're in there fighting in close quarters. Then you've got Spirit Walk with Jaunt, which should look fairly familiar because this allows you to stay alive, get out of danger, and get to a safe zone. That extra second there that you're getting with Jaunt to be able to go for 3 seconds is a very nice thing to be able to get out of danger, and reposition yourself. Positioning is key with this build. If you get stuck in a sticky situation with lots of enemies around you, this is pretty much your only escape. Soul Harvest with Languish. This allows you to feed on the life force of up to 5 enemies. This gives you 3% intelligence for each affected enemy. This effect lasts 30 seconds. This also increases your armor by 30% and reduces the movement speed of harvested enemies by 80% for 5 seconds. Then you've got your passives, Graven Justice. This gives you max life and mana and reduces the cooldown of all your skills by 1 second when an enemy dies within 20 yards. This range is extended by items that increase your gold pickup radius, which we'll get to because you're going to be using an item that does just that, which also plays into another passive. So having this is a good way to get life and mana back and to be able to use your skills on cooldown at a pretty rapid pace. Next, Gruesome Feast. This is the one that also helps. When you are healed by a health globe, gain 10% of your max mana and 10% intelligence for 15 seconds. It stacks up to 5 times. So you're going to be in there, you're going to be in close quarters, you need all the health you can get, plus this helps return that very necessary mana since you're going to be spending a lot of it. Spirit Vessel is a no-brainer because this will bring down the cooldown of your Spirit Walk and Soul Harvest by 2 seconds, plus it allows you to have a second life. Lastly, you've got Confidence Ritual, which says you deal 25% additional damage to enemies within 20 yards. This is important because you are going to be within that 20-yard range, dealing as much damage as you possibly can. So having that there is, of course, a no-brainer. Now, for the 5th passive, because you want a Hellfire Amulet, but if you need one or the other, keep in mind Swampland Attunement is very good. You and your pets gain 120 physical, poison, fire, and cold resistance for every enemy within 20 yards. This is affected by your gold pickup radius, which with the gear that you're using, this is going to be a pretty wide range. So your toughness is going to be extremely high, and you're going to need it because, again, you're going to be in that melee range. For the 6-piece bonus, let's take a look at the Helltooth set, which got a huge revamp in patch 2.3. Enemies hit by your primary skills, which is a wide range, are affected by necrosis, becoming slowed, taking 1500% weapon damage every second, and taking 20% increased damage from all sources for 10 seconds. This goes into your zombie charger, your piranhas, wall of death. All of those can apply necrosis, which is going to amplify all the damage that you do from then on out. Your 4-piece bonus says that after applying necrosis to an enemy, you take 50% reduced damage for 10 seconds. Again, you're going to be taking a lot of damage, so this is a great way to mitigate it with the Helltooth set. The 6-piece bonus says that after casting Wall of Death, which is a great one, you gain 900% increased damage for 15 seconds to your primary skills, which goes back, again, to your zombie charger, piranhas, and Wall of Death. As you can see, the Helltooth set got a huge overhaul. So all of this plays really well in terms of synergy. So the skills that we went over all play really well to all the 6-piece bonus stuff going on there between the 2, 4, and 6-piece. So for the gear, you'll need the Helltooth boots, pants, chest, helm, shoulders, and gloves. You're going to want all 6 pieces, no Ring of Royal Grandeur. However, if you only have 5, feel free and put that Ring of Royal Grandeur in Kanai's cube. As mentioned earlier, having a little bit of area damage can go a long way. So whether you get that on your gloves or on your offhand can help out tremendously with this build. For the offhand, you're going to be using Thing of the Deep, which in the secondary says that it increases your gold and health pickup radius. So this is really nice, which plays into the skills that we mentioned already to increase that. It helps your toughness, and it helps pick up those extra health globes to be able to do a lot for you. The new bracers that I also mentioned earlier says that Wall of Death deals up to 75 to 100% increased damage and can be cast up to 3 times within 2 seconds before the cooldown begins. So you're able to go in, cast 3 Wall of Deaths in a large area, do a lot of damage with it, they stay up for a while, and then when you're in that area, go crazy with all your other skills and just beast stuff down. For the belt, you'll be using the Belt of Transcendence. This is the one that allows you to get a fetish up whenever you attack. Now, having that there helps out tremendously in the fact that it gives you something of a meat shield. So you can go up there, have your fetishes in front of you, and then you go stand behind them and cast your zombie bears. It's like a shield for you that allows you to go into that melee range with a little bit of buffer and barrier in between you and the guys that are trying to kill you. Then you've got your focus and restraint, which your blazing spiders, or if you opt to go with any other rune or another primary skill there, will proc that for the Witch Doctor. Then between your piranhas and your zombie charger, you'll be able to proc the other side of that to be able to have your focus and restraint procced to do a ton of damage with those rings on. For the amulet, having a Hellfire amulet, which is a little bit easier to obtain, is pretty important here. It allows you to have that 5th passive, and having that 5th passive can be the difference between a Greater Rift 60 and a Greater Rift 65, and maybe even a wider margin than that. Lastly, for the weapon, you need a Scrimshaw. Now, this is where I'm going to say that if you haven't seen the video already about obtaining a rare item rather easily, this is the way to do it with the Scrimshaw. Because Witch Doctors only use 2 spears, it's extremely easy to roll this through Kanai's cube, and then you can roll over and over again to try and get an ancient one. It's a really easy way to get the Scrimshaw that you need. With Scrimshaw, you'll see in the secondary, it reduces the mana cost of Zombie Charger by up to 50%. The other part in the primary is that it increases Zombie Charger damage anywhere between 60 to 80%. So having a Scrimshaw is what makes this build work. Having this combined with your Helltooth is pretty much the only way that you'll be able to effectively use that for the high greater rifts. For Kanai's Cube, you're going to be using the Furnace in the weapon slot for the obvious reasons of doing a lot of damage to elites, namely the Greater Rift boss. For the armor slot, the Grin Reaper making a comeback. The Grin Reaper was optimized tremendously in this patch. It now casts everything at a much quicker pace, plus it's much more reliable in the sense that it's going to be casting the skills, all the skills that you're going to be using. So having the Grin Reaper there is just a tremendous boost to this build. For the jewelry slot, a convention of elements allows you to do that maximum potential damage that you possibly can. However, if you're having trouble staying alive, throwing a unity here with your Templar or your Enchantress wearing one will help you stay alive and be able to stay in those fights a little bit longer by splitting that damage. However, if you are looking to push those top tier greater rifts, a convention of elements is necessary. So to recap, some of the things that I'd mentioned already as far as the playstyle goes is that positioning is going to be key for your zombie bears. They're not the smoothest transitioning bears, but they do shoot out from underneath you, behind you, and they pretty much go in one general direction. However, they can be a little erratic, so positioning yourself to be able to put these in the right direction, to be able to do that max damage, and to be able to go in, get through the enemies, and then have them trail you, and then shoot them all at the same time, is going to be paramount to be able to get through those high greater rifts. If you're looking to go mob to mob, you're not going to get very high. So throw a little caution to the wind with this build. All the things that we talked about earlier really boost up your toughness to be able to get the maximum amount of toughness that you possibly can through the skills and the gear that you're wearing. Being able to go in with your piranhas and your Pyranado to kind of put things in place, or even after you've gone through to try and trigger a lot of things to attack you, having those piranhas there to get that Pyranado to suck everything in, throwing down your wall of zombies, or your wall of death in this case, with the firewall, is now one of those things that you can do to really boost the damage that you possibly can. Staggering those 3 that you get from the Jerem Bracers to be able to get everything trailing through those, to be able to proc your Necrosis and everything from the Helltooth set is another key point there. Having your spiders come out is only going to help as well to get your mana back. Also, with Soul Harvest with Languish, it's one of those things that you have to be mindful of to be able to keep that armor percentage up. It's every 5 seconds with a little bit of cooldown reduction from your passive. It's going to allow you to have this up much more often than not. Playing this build is going to feel a lot different than any other Witch Doctor build out there. You'll be in melee range and you're going to be positioning yourself behind a wall of fetishes to be able to block some of that damage that's going to be coming towards you. You'll also be actively using all 6 of your skills, which may take a little bit of getting used to. It's a lot different than the Dark Doctor build or anything else that you'll find currently. But again, all of the skills and all of the gear that has been chosen plays very well together to create great synergy. Your focus and restraint play very well together. The Scrimshaw, which again is pretty easy to obtain through Kanai's Cube, is 100% necessary. Using the Thing of the Deep that you've probably had sitting around for a long time is also one of those items that's making a comeback to be able to increase your toughness and your damage in so many ways. And then of course the new bracers that allow for you to cast Wall of Death 3 times. It just makes all really good choices for this build to be able to push those high greater rifts. So that's it for this Diablo 3 Witch Doctor guide. If you like the build or you like the video, feel free and hit the like button below because that is always appreciated. Also, if you're looking for more Diablo content or other gaming content, be sure and subscribe as well. Don't forget to share this with your friends and see what they're running in Season 4 and in Patch 2.3. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Till next time, happy hunting. See you again.